Namaste, Dhanava Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master on Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble Dhanava Pranam to Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. And following the instruction of Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are praying to Srimati Radharani. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said, if we cannot understand Srimati Radharani through the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, then our study has been for waste. So following this instruction or suggestion, we are praying to Radharani. Yadi seva vanchitasya ma yasya kripaya vayam labema sarvam prapnuma prayojanam damni Shri Bhagavat pade Krishna sambandhi sarvam cha yadi na jani mahe tutam ashtadashasu sahasreshu shlokanam Bhagavat oktishu radharanimna vindamatada Nishphalam Bhagavat Adhyayanam Radhikaya Kripam Vina Vyartasyat Sarva Parishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all our efforts are in vain. And finally, today, we are also honoring the disappearance day, the Tirobhav Mahamahotsav of Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, the beloved successor Acharya of Srila Bhakti Rakshak, Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. Jai Srila Govinda Maharaj ki Jai. So we are continuing our Bhagavatam reading from Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order. Chapter 26, King Purañjana goes to the forest to hunt and his queen becomes angry. Text number 9. Tatra nirbina gatranam chitra vajai shili mukai viplavo bodhukitanam dushaha karunatmanam. When King Purañjana was hunting in this way, many animals within the forest lost their lives with great pain, being pierced by the sharp arrowheads. Upon seeing these devastating, ghastly activities performed by the king, all the people who were merciful by nature became very unhappy. Such merciful persons could not tolerate seeing all this killing. Purport. When demoniac persons engage in animal killing, the demigods or devotees of the Lord are very much afflicted by this killing. Demoniac civilizations in this modern age maintain various types of slaughterhouses all over the world. Rascal swamis and yogis encourage foolish persons to go on eating flesh and killing animals, and at the same time continue their so-called meditation and mystical practices. All these affairs are ghastly, and a compassionate person, namely a devotee of the Lord, becomes very unhappy to see such a sight. The hunting process is also carried on in a different way, as we have already explained. Hunting women, drinking different types of liquor, becoming intoxicated, killing animals, and enjoying sex all serve as the basis of modern civilization. Vaishnavas are unhappy to see such a situation in the world, and therefore they are very busy spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. The devotees are pained to see the hunting and killing of animals in the forest, the wholesale slaughter of animals in the slaughterhouses, and the exploitation of young girls in the brothels that function under different names as clubs and societies. Being very much compassionate upon the killing of animals and sacrifice, the great sage Narada began his instructions to King Prachana Barhisat. In these instructions, Narada Muni explained that devotees like him are very much afflicted by all the killing that goes on in human society. Not only are saintly persons afflicted by this killing, but even God himself is afflicted and therefore comes down in the incarnation of Lord Buddha. Jayadev Goswami therefore sings, Siddhaya Hridaya Darshita Pashu Gatam. Simply to stop the killing of animals, Lord Buddha compassionately appeared. Some rascals put forward the theory that an animal has no soul or is something like dead stone. In this way, they rationalize that there is no sin in animal killing. Actually, animals are not dead stone, but the killers of animals are stone-hearted. Consequently, no reason or philosophy appeals to them. They continue keeping slaughterhouses and killing animals in the forest. The conclusion is that one who does not care for the instructions of saintly persons like Narada and his disciplic succession surely falls into the category of Nasta Pragya and thus goes to hell. Text 10. Sashan Varahan Mahishan Gavayan Ruru Salyakan Medhyan Anyamscha Vividbhan Vinignan Shramam Adyagat. In this way, King Purañjana killed many animals, including rabbits, boars, buffalo, bison, black deer, porcupines, and other game animals. After killing and killing, the king became very tired. Purport. A person in the mode of ignorance commits many sinful activities. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that a man becomes sinful out of ignorance only. The resultant effect of sinful life is suffering. Those who are not in knowledge, who commit violations of the standard laws, are subject to be punished under criminal laws. Similarly, the laws of nature are very stringent. If a child touches fire without knowing the effect, he must be burned, even though he is only a child. If a child violates the law of nature, there is no compassion. Only through ignorance does a person violate the laws of nature, and when he comes to knowledge, he does not commit any more sinful acts. The king became tired after killing so many animals. When a man comes in contact with a saintly person, he becomes aware of the stringent laws of nature and thus becomes a religious person. Irreligious persons are like animals, but in this Krishna consciousness movement, such persons can come to a sense of understanding things as they are and abandon the four principles of prohibited activities, namely illicit sex life, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. This is the beginning of religious life. Those who are so-called religious and indulge in these four principles of prohibited activities are pseudo-religionists. Religious life and sinful activity cannot parallel one another. If one is serious in accepting a religious life or the path of salvation, he must adhere to the four basic rules and regulations. However sinful a man may be, if he receives knowledge from the proper spiritual master and he repents his past activities in his sinful life and stops them, he immediately becomes eligible to return back home, back to Godhead. This is made possible just by following the rules and regulations given by the Shastra and following the bona fide spiritual master. At present, the whole world is on the verge of retiring from a blind, materialistic civilization, which may be likened to hunting animals in the forest. People should take advantage of this Krishna consciousness movement and leave their troublesome life of killing. It is said that the killers of animals should neither live nor die. If they live only to kill animals and enjoy women, life is not very prosperous. And as soon as a killer dies, he enters a cycle of birth and death in the lower species of life. That is also not desirable. The conclusion is that killers should retire from the killing business and take to this Krishna consciousness movement to make life perfect. A confused, frustrated man cannot get relief by committing suicide because suicide will simply lead him to take birth in the lower species of life or to remain a ghost, unable to attain a gross material body. Therefore, the perfect course is to retire altogether from sinful activities and take up Krishna consciousness. In this way, one can become completely perfect and go back home, back to Godhead. Text 11. Tatakshu trik parishranto nivritto griham evan kritasnano chitahara samvivesha gataklama. After this, the king, very much fatigued, hungry, and thirsty, returned to his royal palace. After returning, he took a bath and had an appropriate dinner. Then he took rest and thus became freed from all restlessness. Purport. A materialistic person works throughout the whole week very, very hard. He is always asking, where is money? Where is money? Then at the end of the week, he wants to retire from these activities and go to some secluded place to rest. King Purañjana returned to his home because he was very much fatigued from hunting animals in the forest. In this way, his conscience came to stop him from committing further sinful activities and make him return home. In Bhagavad Gita, materialistic persons are described as duskritina, which indicates those who are always engaged in sinful activities. When a person comes to his senses and understands how he is engaging in a sinful activity, he returns to his conscience, which is herein figuratively described as the palace. Generally, a materialistic person is infected by the modes of material nature like passion and ignorance. The results of passion and ignorance are lust and greed. And the life of a materialist activity means working in lust and greed. However, when he comes to his senses, he wants to retire. According to Vedic civilization, such retirement is positively recommended, and this portion of life is called vanaprastha. Retirement is absolutely necessary for a materialist who wants to become free from the activities of a sinful life. King Purañjana's coming home, taking bath, and having an appropriate dinner indicate that a materialistic person must retire from sinful activities and become purified by accepting a spiritual master and hearing from him about the values of life. If one would do this, he would feel completely refreshed, just as one feels after taking a bath. After receiving initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, one must abandon all kinds of sinful activities, namely illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. The word uchitahara, used in this verse is important. Uchita means appropriate. One must eat appropriately and not take food as hogs take after stool. For a human being, there are eatables described in Bhagavad Gita 17.8 as sattvika ahar, or food in the mode of goodness. One should not indulge in eating foods in the mode of passion and ignorance. This is called uchitahara, or appropriate eating. One who is always eating meat or drinking liquor, which is eating and drinking in passion and ignorance, must give these things up so that his real consciousness may be awakened. In this way, one may become peaceful and refreshed. If one is restless or fatigued, one cannot understand the science of God. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.20, Evam prashano manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Unless one can become free from the influence of passion and ignorance, he cannot be pacified, and without being pacified, one cannot understand the science of God. King Purañjana's returning home is indicative of man's returning to his original consciousness, known as Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is absolutely necessary for one who has committed a lot of sinful activities, especially killing animals or hunting in the forest. Text 12. Atmanam arhayam chakre dupalepa shrag adhibi sadvalankrita sarvango Mahisyam adadhe mana. After this, King Purañjana decorated his body with suitable ornaments. He also smeared scented sandalwood pulp all over his body and put on flower garlands. In this way he became completely refreshed. After this he began to search out his queen. Purport. When a man comes into good consciousness and accepts a saintly person as a spiritual master, he hears many Vedic instructions in the form of philosophies, stories, narrations about great devotees, and transactions between God and his devotees. In this way, a man becomes refreshed in mind, exactly like a person who smears scented sandalwood pulp all over his body and decorates himself with ornaments. These decorations may be compared to knowledge of religion and the self. Through such knowledge, one becomes detached from materialistic ways of life and engages himself in always hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other Vedic literatures. The word Svalankrita, Sadvalankrita, used in this verse indicates that one must be absorbed in knowledge gathered from the instructions of saintly persons. Just as King Purañjana began to search out his better half, the queen, one who is decorated with knowledge and instructions from saintly persons, should try to search out his original consciousness. Krishna consciousness. One cannot return to Krishna consciousness unless he is favored by the instructions of a saintly person. Therefore, Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Chitteti Kariya Aikya. If we want to become saintly persons, or if we want to return to our original Krishna consciousness, we must associate with sadhu, a saintly person, shastra, authoritative Vedic literature, and guru, a bona fide spiritual master. This is the process. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 13 on Friday. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Acharya Dev Ki Jai. Jai Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Jai Srila Govinda Maharaj Tirabhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jai Bamanpur Dham Ki Jai. Jai Jagannath Pur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shamkund Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Jai Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Jai Srimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Hari Bol.
Sripad Krishna Keshav Prabhu Ji ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
And Arpana.
Dhanavad Siddhi.